Я подтверждение ситуации передаю настройку. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, lead heads. We are bringing you a very special Talking Lead AK Korner presented by Century Arms from the 2020 SHOT Show from the lead quarters here at Buck Nye's booth. And this is going to be awesome. Looking forward to this. So I'm going to introduce our guests from my left to my right. We've got the legend, the myth, the man, the grandfather, the father, the what else, Brian? Throw some more acronyms in there.
Spiritual godfather.
Spiritual godfather of the AK-47.
Old man.
Jim Fuller, ladies and gentlemen.
Obi-Wan. The leader. He's led a lot of things of it.
He's a lot of things. They're all positive things. So Jim Fuller joined us for our Season 2 AK Korner.
Glad to be here.
You were gracious enough to join in on 2 of our Season 1 episodes,
right.
at least. I mean, maybe even 3.
Yep. I would have done more if we could have scheduled it, but we'll fix that now.
Well, you were busy. You had a lot going on then.
Yep.
And then to Jim's left, we've got our good friend and sponsor of the AK Korner, Occam Defense Solutions, Brian Keeney, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, man.
Happy to be here.
Hey, thanks for coming to Vegas just for this show.
Not me. I live here.
Oh, wait.
So does he.
It was a long drive.
You guys were here anyway. Yeah. And then to his left, to Brian's left, we've got newbie, but representing Century Arms today, we've got Ken Ross.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me in.
Yeah, so you and I had a chance to talk on our journey over here from your booth.
Yeah, directionally challenged. Yes, you are.
I am.
It's SHOT Show. Everybody's directionally challenged.
I proved it once again that I suck with directions. But Ken kept me online, got us here on time. And then to Ken's left, we've got John Houlton.
Yep.
And John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I own M13 Industries, also here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We specialize in the AK platform and just try to do little different things than most people see on the AKs. Do some of the more exotic and strange contraptions.
Okay, very cool. And how long have you been in the AK business?
This will be year 9.
9 years.
Yep.
Okay. Now, are you a protege of this man over here?
I did take
well?
a class because I wanted to make sure I did it right. So
Okay.
I took Jim's class, and he definitely was leading the way on how to do it and showed me a lot of tricks and made my life a lot easier.
Very cool, very cool. Back to Ken. We want to get a little background on Ken. So tell our listeners a little bit about you, Ken.
Well, I'm the creative director at Century, but I am a avid shooter. I've been in the industry for a long time. Used to work for a magazine company, gun magazine company. I've been with Century for about 7 months now.
Okay.
I am a rifle shooter, pistol shooter. I'm an instructor as well. I've been doing this for a little bit. So.
Oh, yeah, well-rounded.
Yeah,
well-rounded.
very much so.
Very good. So the way that I want to do this, I got a little something different in mind. I don't have a set topic like we normally do. I just thought it would be great to grab some of the greatest minds in the industry here for the AK and just kind of do a chat, man. Just how the AK is looking here in America, where it's headed, thoughts, prophecies going forward with the AKs. And let's start with Jim. Jim, I know you got a lot of things going on in your world, and you're a busy man. Also implement a little music in the mix, But as far as the AK goes, I mean, you've been on the show before, and we talked about the progression and how it's really starting to get roots here.
It is
in the United States. So let's kind of rehash a little bit of how that happened. How the AK actually got over here and gained its popularity.
Well, I mean, in the 80s, it was huge. We had a lot of stuff imported back then, but politics ended that, and things changed. And so for a long time, the AK really wasn't that available in this country, or it really wasn't much of an industry for it. And then in the late 90s, when they started bringing in parts kits, we thought, well, hey, maybe we can build these things, And of course, in 2004, when the assault weapons ban expired, and that really kind of exploded. In those days, there really wasn't much of an industry. In the early 2000s, it was, you could get American-made receivers. Nobody made a barrel. You didn't need them because you could still get foreign barrels at that time. But it was a budding industry with nothing there, And it's like, wow.
It was for the taking.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's see what we can do here.
Yeah.
I only, my thought was it was just going to be a retirement job for me.
Just something.
I just wanted a little gunsmithing shop where I could work on AKs because I knew nobody else did.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it would ever take off like it did. So I've been a fan of this gun for 40 years. You know, I bought my first one 40 years ago.
Wow.
So I made it a point of, at that time I decided, well, you know what, we need an AK industry. And at the same time I built my business, I focused on trying to expand the industry because that's the only way all this could happen.
Right.
You know, I mean, we got a lot of great guys building guns now. You know, I mean, I'm no longer with Rifle Dynamics, in case anybody hasn't heard yet.
Okay. Well, I was going to leave that up to you to talk to about as much or as little as you wanted to.
RD was a magnificent vehicle for bringing the AK up in this country, and that's one of the things I always wanted to do with RD, to do that, and that was important. And now, you know, I mean, I'm gone from there now, but they're a well-established company, and they're going to do fine on their own.
Oh, sure.
You know, I got an offer to do something else, so I'm walking on. We'll hear some information about that in a couple.
More
of
to
months.
come on that, so stay tuned, definitely.
Yeah.
Brian, your thoughts?
On the industry, where
Well,
it's
just
going,
kind of kind of picking up from where Jim left off there.
Yeah, sure. You know, when Jim started, I think you guys were probably bending most of your flats, or bending from flats, or maybe you had a couple.
No, we never
receivers.
did. We never did flats.
Oh, okay.
In those days, you had Armory USA, Elk River. You know, they were making pretty good stuff back then, actually. You know?
Well, yeah, that's long before my time, but
Excuse me.
you know, now we've got several different receiver manufacturers in the U.S. that are making very high quality stuff. You can get gas blocks and different parts from, gosh, just a boatload of different small companies. Most of them are mom and pop shops. Like, you know, a lot of the big secret in the AK industry, I think, is that a lot of the business owners are working a first job, and then when they get home at night, they're doing their second job, which is the AK business.
Yeah.
There's some very large ones where those folks are working full-time jobs and then doing fulfillment and advertising at night. And that's really cool.
And you can speak firsthand to that, right?
Oh, I sure can. You know, I was doing this as a side job for 3 or 4 years before I took it full time. And of course, we've been able to get a lot more done when we just started focusing on that. The other industries I was in was sort of scientific instrumentation, aerospace stuff, electronics.
Yeah, you brought a lot of that into your work though too, which is pretty impressive.
It's been fun, and that's what I was hoping to be able to do. Was, you know, having a degree in sort of designing instruments and electronics, I saw a possibility that we'd be able to automate some of the things that take other people 20 years to get good at. You know, like tuning bolts, for example. That is a very high skill operation. And
most people don't know what needs to be done.
Well, there you go, right. And so, yeah, that would be an example of something we've done, but there's a lot of other folks doing some very interesting stuff and bringing over a lot of the American aerospace technology that has come up, you know, over the last 70 years that hasn't really been applied to the AK, and that's where to me, that's what's interesting. I'm not trying to blow my own horn here, but like the melding of American
But that's a good point that
ingenuity.
you bring in. Yeah, you know, the backgrounds that people are getting into the AK are bringing from the fields that they were previously in, like, you know,
Yep.
you in the aerospace industry.
Yep.
Bringing that to not only the AK, but, you know, the firearms industry itself.
Yeah, and John, sorry to cut in on you. The last thing I'd say is that John is a machining expert in automotive transmissions and race transmissions, and so the best engineers that I know are wrench turners who have seen all the ways that things break. They've broken them themselves, and then they figure out how to fix them, and you come up with way better stuff that way. And John is a real expert.
John's shaking his head over there, yeah. He said, preaching to the choir, brother.
With that, I'll shut up, but yeah.
Definitely broke some stuff in my time.
Yeah, so he's talking about the no, go ahead, Ken.
You know, just to reiterate on the point that you guys brought up, this industry, I came from the automotive industry. I worked in the automotive industry for 18 years from the media side of it before I came over into the firearms industry. And we are one of the greatest manufacturing countries in the world. And we've got a lot of people who are migrating away from doing that job into doing their hobbies and their loves and their passions. And that's you guys are a perfect example of that.
Good point. You know, so you come from the automotive. You got an automotive background as well.
Yeah, I spent 18 years working with the automotive magazine, covering driving exotic cars, working with some of the greatest racers in the world. You know, meeting Carroll Shelby and different people like that. You know, it's been a good life. I can't complain at all.
Yeah. So what's one of the most exotic cars that you had the opportunity to drive?
Wow. You know, that's hard. I've driven Ferraris, I've driven Bentleys, I've driven exotic, you know, high-end Porsches. It's been a good life. I can't, you know, if you ever get a chance to do, if there's one event that I would say, if you had a chance to do it, go to Pebble Beach, the Concourse d'Elegance. Even if you don't go inside, pay $1,000 for the ticket. The cars outside of the event are worth seeing.
Nice.
Watching all of the people in the $1 million cars driving up and down the streets is just an amazing event, and it's in Northern California. And despite what you say about their gun laws, it is one of the most beautiful areas in the world.
Right.
So.
One of my tick list things to do is go to one of the Barrett auctions. I would love to go to one of those, just to watch,
Yeah, those are amazing also, and to watch the amount of money that changes hands there is just, and just to tie it back into firearms, car people for the most part are gun people.
Right, and that's where I was going with this whole thing, so, but yeah.
Yeah, so we can afford more guns than we can cars.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
That is true. So John, you've got an automotive background as well. I saw you, testifying while Brian was talking there a lot. So
correct. I actually come from a race car transmission, especially background. So I have over 25 years in the race car transmission specialty. Most of what we did was the hybrid off-road transmissions used in a lot of the buggies and stuff like that. So we saw the evolution from them having 65 horsepower to now 1,500 horsepower easily in a car, and they have to make these things last. The Baja 1000 can be over 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And if your transmission doesn't last so long, it's a big change.
Yeah.
You're out of the race. So a lot of that technology we learned in that we put towards the gun industry, because we see how machinists love making sharp edges. Well, sharp edges cause cracks. That's a bad thing in anything high stress, transmission or a gun. So you already know, you kind of have an inside view of things, how they work, and you start bringing that over to the gun side, and you get to kind of help the building of the part, because hey, this doesn't look right. Let's figure out why it's having a problem, or this doesn't fit exactly right. Let's make it better.
Yeah.
And like he says, car guys, the other thing they are tinkerers. We love to make. We can't leave anything alone. I mean,
you're not afraid to tinker either.
And how many rim manufacturers are there? Okay, the rim is round. How many round rims do we need? But we love to tinker. I can make this better. So that mentality, I think, for people is what actually makes,
especially going in with an AK, because it's so different than the American-made AR-15s that a lot of people are afraid to get in there and mess and tinker with stuff. But you automotive guys aren't afraid to get in there and bang shit around, and if you break it, you'll figure out a way to fix it.
Exactly.
So, I think that's played a big part in, I don't want to say the Americanizing of the AK-47, but there have been a lot of improvements.
The gun is getting very westernized now. It really is. We're seeing
maybe
that
westernized.
More and more. Westernized is probably better.
Let's say that. Yeah. No, I'll go with that term. Now, last episode we talked about build kits. Talking about being afraid. We trying to build people's interest in wanting to go out and make their own AK-47. Where a lot of people are, the AR-15, it's easy peasy. Slap the parts together, you're done. Well, there's a little bit more that goes into it, in building your AK-47. But the tools, the knowledge, everything, the resources are out there and they're available, and they're more readily available, especially with people like yourself that offer the courses, Jim, to teach the build classes. You got a couple of your students sitting right here at the table. That
and they've done well.
That obviously you taught them very well, and they've launched their own, their own businesses from that.
Yep.
So,
and we were always about that, because again, like I said, growing the industry was the only way we could ever expand this gun into what it needs to be. So the more people that are doing it, the more people that are contributing to it, the more people that are thinking about it, providing their skills to it, the better it gets for everybody, and more people get involved in it.
Absolutely.
And we've seen that. I mean, we have. Well, you guys are used to doing numbers big. I know you guys have seen an increase in your numbers.
We're seeing an increase in our numbers, but we're also seeing an increase in our competition, which means the platform is doing really well.
Yeah, but I think Century probably turns more AKs than anybody in this country.
We turn quite a few AKs. You're absolutely right. We between imports and the American-made AKs that we're making right now, we're bringing in quite a few. We're doing a little bit of business, and it's positive. One of the things I was about to bring up was, it's good to walk around the show and see the platform doing so well. There's a lot of new guns out there right now, and I'm glad to be a part of that. To see that this platform is having such a resurgence.
And what we're seeing more and more of, is what Century's bringing to the table. You're bringing a product to the table that that really builds excitement for the beginner, the new AK advocate, along with the seasoned, hardened AK.
Yeah, we are working hard at that. Yeah. We are usually the starter AK. You go into the store and you say, I was thinking about purchasing an AK, and it's usually a Century product. A lot of people don't realize it, but my first AK that I bought, 15 years ago was a Century product, and when I started working at Century, I dug it out of the back of the safe and said, "Yep, I do. I do own 4 of these." Yeah. So it is a great starter gun.
I want to add one thing about Century because I've watched this around, and you guys catch a lot of crap because you produce guns that at a lower price point, and there's a reason for that. Everybody deserves a Second Amendment right. Not everybody can afford a $2,000 AK. So that on the table is on one side. The other thing is too is a lot of people don't realize that you guys import one of the very few factory-made AKs that still come into this country. Mm-hmm. You also import most of the parts kits that people build their guns off of.
Yes, sir.
So all these guys that are giving you hate,
they
might not think about that because you may want to hate Century, but if it wasn't for them, that parts kit you're building right now, you probably wouldn't have.
That's true.
Can I get that in a quote so we can put it in our catalog from you, please?
I've said it many times.
We got it recorded. He said it on this show several times, too.
But that's the reality of the industry. There's tiers in this industry, and they're all valid. They all have a reason. It's real easy for somebody to go, oh, well, that gun's no good. It's not gonna last very long. Well, you know what? There's guys that don't need it to last really long.
That's true.
There's guys that might not shoot more than 500 rounds a year. That gun will last them a lifetime.
And that's a great point. Yeah, usually, and I love our fans. And I love the platform that they have that enables people who aren't usually heard to be heard. But.
Right.
Get out and shoot your gun first, okay? Don't send me a text message saying that our gun sucks when you put
because they saw something on the internet.
Right, exactly. Go out and shoot the gun, and if it breaks, call our customer service. All right, call our customer service if it breaks. But don't say I saw Joe Blow over here on this forum. Tell me that Century sucks. Yeah. Go shoot the gun, please. We've got some great products. Our Visca runs really well. Yeah, and have there been some stumbling blocks? Yeah, there are in every company.
What's the price point on that gun?
That is a 700, somewhere around 700 MSRP.
Yeah, so you peg it up for
very
6.
accessible for a lot of people, and if they're not going to shoot it a lot, enjoy it.
Right. Exactly.
Well, thank you. And VSO did a
reality, dude.
VSO Gun Channel did a 5,000 round torture test on it, and the worst thing that happened was some of the furniture got a little melty, the upper handguard, but the bolt matching was pretty good on it. The pin, he sent it out to me actually to check the tension on the barrel pin, and it was right in. It was 5,000 pounds to push it. It was a little crunchy, but I think probably getting shot that much was doing a thing. But it was right in there. It wasn't falling out. It was properly sized. And he got great results out of the thing. So I think
But then to go back to the point that Jim was making, 5,000 rounds, the majority of the people out there, 98% of them aren't going to, put 500 rounds through their, their AK-47.
Especially if they own multiple guns.
Sure. Yeah.
Totally.
Exactly. Yeah.
The other point that I would make is that it's fine to criticize a company, and I'm not speaking of Century. I mean of the American industry in general.
The internet is horrible.
Yeah, it's fine to criticize an American company if they do something unethical or that's outright wrong. But there are lots of folks that are starting to bet against America, and that they won't buy an American-made AK because only commie guns should be made in commie countries, that kind of thing. And that really bothers me because, Century is trying to get a U.S.-made gun here. And, if we're one executive order away from foreign importation being banned.
Oh, yeah.
And so we really need robust American manufacturing of parts kits. And somebody's got to do it. And so I'm really excited for where Century goes with their American-made guns.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Love that.
Thank you very much. I have 2 of the best AK builders sitting here, and this is what they say about our company. I appreciate it.
Again.
Well, and that was going to bring me to my next point is you know how the AR industry is, and how people talk about other people, and I think the AK circle community is a little more snobbish than even the AR, and you get a lot of that loyalty, I guess I'll call it, to be nice, towards certain brands or towards certain even countries' AKs, and people will go to battle over what they believe in, even though they could be completely wrong. Do you guys find that the AK industry is loosening up maybe a little bit and becoming more welcoming to?
I would say yes and no. There's a lot of people that when you got a guy who's never shot an AK, he's been an AR guy all of his life. He goes out there and you can see him, he's just eyeballing your gun and he wants to shoot it, You finally go, hey, you want to shoot this? Oh yeah, I'd love to do that. And you can see he's at odds with it because the controls are completely different than an AR. And he shoots a couple times. You can see him go like, oh wow, this is enjoyable. I like this. It doesn't have this massive kick everyone says it's going to have.
Right.
But then everyone starts badgering him about it, that he doesn't know what he's doing and everything. And so he kind of gets turned off by it and starts wandering off, going back to his AR. Well, that's not what we need. We need somebody to go and go, that was incredibly fun. I didn't know it was like that. Where can I go buy one of these?
Yeah.
Whether it's a used one, a new one, whatever, we need them to get into the wanting to have an AK and go out and shoot it. And no offense, leave his AR in the safe, grab that AK, take it out to the range.
Exactly.
And run it like an AK,
Well
not
said.
an M4, and you'll understand the beauty of it.
Exactly.
Yep, totally.
And instruction. We need more. That's what we really need. More quality AK instruction. There's some really good instructors out there, but there aren't that many quality AK instructors out there. There are a ton of AR instructors, and they teach the platform really well. Mm-hmm. We need people out there who teach you how to sweep that safety off the right way, and get on target. We need
reload the mags.
Right, how to reload the mag. How to feel. We need you to go out and shoot your gun so you feel when that bolt closes and you know that the magazine is empty. Mm-hmm. And that's all a feel thing. And that's only by getting on the range and actually using your AK and taking some good classes and putting 2,000 rounds down range and really getting to know your system.
Right. And where can we point our listeners to some good quality training? Who's some people that come to mind right off other than Travis Haley?
Reed Hendrich. Reed Hendrich is really good.
Reed, okay.
Yeah. Alridge. Yeah. Ken Allen's another good guy. Guys that specialize in the AK, I assume you're talking about, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because those guys all do.
Yeah.
There's
Tactical Response doesn't
Absolutely.
specialize in the AK. They teach fighting, but they're big AK fans, and so
they know their way around an AK there. So
they sure do.
And they don't say bring ARs, you bring whatever, and they'll teach you how to run it.
I've worked for schools where we were told to discourage people from using the gun, in as much as like making it fail the safety inspection, so they'd be forced to use something different. Mainly because those instructors didn't know how to teach the gun.
Probably what it was, yeah. And they didn't want to have to work on them, didn't know how to work on them and do the maintenance on them.
Exactly.
Because they were scared.
Yep.
They're scared. Don't be scared.
And out of Texas, he's not that well known, but Jared Seagraves is one of our shooters, 212 firearms training.
Okay.
He's an assistant instructor for Travis Haley, and that's how I met him, was at the Travis class, and he's a really good teacher who really cares about the platform. So another good resource there.
Very good. And as we said in the last couple of episodes, if you are a listener to the show and you're interested in getting more information on whatever it may be about the AK, we have the resources. We've got access to Jim. We've got access to Brian. We've got access to everybody at Century Arms. Now we got a new resource at our fingertips here with John. So, we can find the answers for you. So don't be afraid to contact me, talkinglead@gmail.com, or any of the sponsors and friends of the show. I mean, they're genuine as they sound on the radio. They're more than happy to help out and share their knowledge with you, because
it only makes our industry better.
It does.
Yep.
Exactly. And these guys get it. And that's the thing about it is, don't be afraid to ask. And then if somebody asks you and you have the knowledge, be nice, be considerate, and share the knowledge with them. It just makes everything better for everybody.
That's been my game plan for the last 20 years.
Yeah. So let's talk about where you guys think the AK is headed in this country. What direction are we headed with the AK? I mean, we've seen a lot of innovation coming from newer companies like Occam Defense, and there's a couple other companies out there. John, I want to find out more what you do. So you're building AKs, is that
Yes, we build AKs either from a customer supplied parts kit or a parts kit we supply. We also do a lot of the hybrid style AKs. Something that is it's an AK idea. The PP-19, the Bison. We've done a couple of those. They're ultra rare. We've done a couple of those. We've done some of the original Vitiuses. I don't do totally bone stock guns. I like to have something a little more exotic in it. It's kind of like try to aim more towards what the customer wants. Just because it's an AK, it doesn't mean you can't throw your own personal flair on it.
Sure.
There's certain things. Everyone goes, oh, you can't have an AR stock on it. Why not? Make it work for you. If the gun doesn't work for you, then
if it's going to make you shoot it more and better.
Exactly. Make this thing so you like it.
Yeah.
You enjoy the gun.
If you want a collector's AK, go buy a vintage thing off one of these auction sites and then put it in your on your wall and use it as art.
Exactly. And every gun I've ever bought, I don't want to have a Safe Queen. I bought a really nice Norinco. The reason I bought it because he was shot. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's been shot. Perfect, because I'll shoot it now."
Right.
I don't worry about keeping it in the safe.
Now, where do you prefer your parts kits from? To come from?
I haven't. At this current time, what we have available to us, I like the com block style parts kits. I'm really interested in what these U.S. manufacturers are bringing in are going to start manufacturing parts kits because we're running out. There's only so many more countries that have parts kits available. There's only so many countries we could get AK parts kits from.
Right.
And they're drying up. We've all seen it when the parts kits we got as, we would look at like a Romanian parts kit. You'd look at it and you're like, wow, that's a D grade parts kit. Mm-hmm. That's now being brought across the table to us. Here's your A grade parts kit. And you don't have much say in it. That's all that's available.
Yeah, so, back in the day, those were $99 for brand new cut-up guns. Now they're pretty worn out, and they're $300 now, whatever.
Yeah.
Like case in point, the 74 parts kits. They've become obsolete. Now you're buying a parts kit for $800.
Wow.
And it's it's.
And then people yell at you, "Why can't you make a gun for $200?"
Exactly.
It's not 1980 anymore, folks.
Exactly.
All right, those days have come and gone. They are way gone.
So we do a lot of the tuning to the customer's wants as what we kind of a little more specialize in.
And John, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're still doing conversions and customer on existing guns.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. If somebody's, we got a customer who goes, "Hey, I already have bought a Century gun. I want to do this to it." No problem. Send it on over. We'll do whatever you want to it. You want a side folder put in? Fine, we'll put a side folder. You want the front end conversion? We'll do that. You want to take some stock it never was supposed to have? No problem. We'll do that. Yeah. We want it to 300 blackout, 9x39. Okay, fine, no problem.
This episode of the Talking Lead podcast is brought to you in part by Valhalla Gunworks. Valhalla Gunworks is a small, veteran-owned company selling firearms and gunsmithing services online. As a special promotion, they are giving the Leadhead Brigade 5% off their entire order. Just enter the promo code LEADHEAD5 to receive 5% off your entire order, Leadheads. Head on over to www.valhallagunworks.com to view their entire inventory and their services. And also make sure you go check them out on Facebook, like their Facebook page, let them know you're a Leadhead at Valhalla Gunworks eStore. If you have any questions, you can give Aaron a call, 636-312-5569. Valhalla Gunworks. Check them out, Leadheads. So this is something that we're probably going to get into more in another episode, but I just want to touch on it here with you guys because I've had a lot of questions and people wanting to learn more about accessories, and not necessarily just the accessories, but like the mounts, the rails. They're wanting to know the different things that are available. Where's the best place, to put my scope mount or my light mount or my whatever it may be, kind of mount, and where can I get those mounts?
Well, there's a lot of different things now. The SLR rails are kind of like the hot ticket right now. The Zenetco stuff from Russia, which is hard to get, but it's bomb-proof. Obviously the Ultimac's been a standard in this industry for quite a long time. There's a lot of stuff available for it. One of the biggest challenges with the AK is that it runs so hot that most rail systems, you better wear a glove on your sport unit, Right. You're probably going to get burned if you don't. That is if you're running hard and running a lot of rounds over a long period of time.
It's a big can of worms, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It is, and none of it's really perfected. It can always be better, But it's interesting. When I was in Russia recently, I find that they're copying a lot of our stuff over there now.
Oh, really?
The Russians are actually copying a lot of our new. There's a company over there that makes a product just like an SLR rig. I mean, I thought it was when I first seen it, and then I saw it had a different brand on it. It's like, holy shit! And the quality looks as good, you know.
Sure.
But we're actually starting to make impressions on them with the stuff that we're doing here now. You know, I saw a lot of that over there. I mean, there's a company called Puff that's making M4 mags.
They're called Puff?
Yeah, Puff gun, I think they are, or something like that. But
Okay.
I couldn't tell the difference. You know, I'm looking at this. I showed it to Travis Haley. He's going, let me see that. He stuffed a couple of rounds and threw it on the ground. He said, it still won't pass the test. That's an inside magpul thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's funny how that goes. We are starting to get some pretty good stuff out there, and it needed to happen because the AK-12 was what the Russians did to try to make their guns more modular friendly.
Right.
It's still just an AK-74 underneath there. People don't realize that, but that's really all it is. It's just they just changed really the furniture so they could be a little bit more modern in that regard.
Right.
You know, but now their private market over there, because the Russian market, the Russian gun population over there is actually a lot more than people realize. You know, I mean, when the shoot that I went to there, it wasn't no different than any shoot I was with here, except people were speaking Russian.
Is that what?
I mean, they had really nice guns. They're doing really hardcore training.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. I mean, they actually have a gun industry there, and they're interested in that stuff. So, like I said, they see what we're doing over here, and you know.
What's the big manufacturer over there in Russia?
Well, Ishmash, you know.
So pretty much
makes it. Well, I think Siegas are probably. You know, I don't know their market that well, but most of the people I saw at the range had Siegas or something like Saigas, or something of that nature. And they come out of Ishmash.
Cool. Very good. Brian, what's your take on it?
Well, you know, there is no perfect rail and an optic mount and accessory mount. Everything has trade-offs to it. And so for some folks, they already have the gun. Let's say they've got a Century. They don't have a ton of money to spend. Maybe they don't have a ton of technical ability. There are leaf sight replacement mounts where you can put a red dot on. Some of them work great, some don't, but I know that there are some out there that'll work. The side rails for some folks, I'm hearing that with particulars, the big issue with the side rails, as I understand it, is that they tend to all be a little bit different. I've heard really good things about the side rails from RS Regulate.
When you say the side rails, the ones that mount on the receiver?
Yep, on the receiver itself.
If you go RS Regulate, you got no problem.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a trade-off with those in that getting the dust cover off can be tricky and getting access to a jam, but it will let you get a very low height over bore optic mount. You can put variable power optics on there, so that's a really good solution for other folks.
Your rail system's pretty impressive as well.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
I know what you got in it. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier.
Because I'm sitting there going, well, I'm going to say
No, I got a chance to look at it a while back, but I'm tired. It's been SHOT Show week.
No, it's all good, man.
We're deep into day 2 of SHOT Show here.
Yeah. No, and I don't know if Jim has seen the production version yet.
No, just your prototypes at the range a couple of years ago.
It's improved a lot since then, and I'm anxious to get one in your hands and have you put it through its paces. But yeah, going to the one that you held was billet, or that you got to shoot. And obviously, by going to an extrusion, we were able to pull even more weight out of the thing. And we haven't shipped a gun yet over 2 MOA out of our shop. So I think that says a lot for...
The solution that Brian's talking about is his Merc.
Yep.
Talking about the Merc rail. So this would be a full hand rail that you would put on your AK. So you'd switch out the traditional 2-piece. You go to like a free float, right?
Yep. It's free float. It grabs where the rear sight block would, so right back at the chamber. Doesn't touch the barrel in any other place. It has a replacement gas tube. Originally, we thought that free-floating the gas tube would improve accuracy. That turns out to be a really bad idea. And the nice thing...
there is a design issue
there. There is a design issue. Well, no, even if it's loose, your accuracy goes all to hell. And, it was known for a long time, for some reason, that the Ultimac tightened up accuracy by a little bit. And it turns out that the AK really likes some pressure on that gas block. And we let you... The way our system works, you can tune the pressure to be what you want. And I'm here to tell you there is a sweet spot that tightens up groups really, really well.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's been an interesting discovery. But going back to other options on the market, there's a bunch of good rails out there. And we happen to think that ours is best, but it's only best. Best is this horrible word. because it always, you have to put it in the context of what matters to you. And so for the people that like what we do, we think we're best, but we don't think we're the best on the market for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not right for everybody, it's just right for us. And for a bunch of folks like, oh, I left out Cop Shoots.
Saberworks.
Saberworks,
Yep.
thank you. Fred Stetcher over there, really good dude. Makes a modular system that is very nice.
Describe that.
It replaces the rear sight block. It is a two-piece modular system where you this is something that John installs very many of. You have to push all the other parts off the barrel, push a replacement rear sight block back on, and there's kind of a dovetail. Think like a mini Picatinny rail. And then there's a pin that locks different top pieces in place. And so you can put in a big long cantilever pick rail that'll give you a rear scope mount. You can put big scopes, little scopes, irons. They've got, 4 or 5 different options easy,
right,
so that you can swap different stuff into your gun. So for me personally as a shooter, I don't like anything extra. And so the fact that it was 2 pieces was a big deal to me.
Staying away from it, yeah.
But that said, most people...
Personal preference.
Yeah. It's personal preference, and a lot of people have fantastic results with the thing. So that's just me being anal retentive about, I want fewer parts. It's a great product made in America by
That's
great
you being the
American.
engineer that you are.
Yeah. So it's like I said, best is subjective, and so there's, thank goodness that we live in America. We have lots of choices for all these different solutions that, and some of them are self-install, others are very involved to install. So yeah, it's just what you're into.
Yeah, very cool. You guys got some input on that?
Well, we sell the Draco line, and it is really interesting looking at some of the things that are coming out of that. We've got one hanging on our wall right now, and I can't remember the name of the young man's company, but he tuned the gas system so it runs super quiet with the suppressor. And AKs are made to speed a lot of gas, and he went in and changed the gas tube, really tuned that gas system. We've got a SB tactical rail on the back of it with an attachment, and it is a really cool, for the lack of a better word, car gun or a backpack gun that you can stuff into a backpack or something,
right,
and you fold it over, and it's got the pistol brace on there, and there's a lot of things you can do with these things now, and I think that's what's sparking some of the appeal for people nowadays. So.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I would definitely say a lot of it is to personal preference. Like Brian was saying, some people like it, like the Ultimac where it's way up on the front. People get, I can't see that way. I want it really close to my eyes, so then they can put it all the way in the back. So it's a lot of it is customer preference.
Yeah.
And the other thing I tell people is don't get stuck in a rut. Just because that's the way you did it before doesn't mean it's going to be the only way you're going to like it. Mm-hmm. You could start off with it being all the way at the back, your red dot all the way at the back, and somebody used somebody else's gun and it's all the way at the front, and all of a sudden, wow, this works 10 times better for me. I can find the target faster and everything works. Same with like handguards. Just because it has a rail on it right beside your hand, some people don't like that. They like like Brian's style, which is a lot smoother. Mm. Me personally, I like Brian's because it's a lot smoother. I don't need all the extra lumpy 1913 or it's like
1913. You got it.
1913 rail on the side.
Pick rails.
Because I should be wearing a glove most of the time, as Jim said, but sometimes I don't. And it the 1913 rails chews you up. And something smoother like Brian's, it doesn't. So it's all about tuning it to what you like. And with so many more options like SLR, Brian's, Ultimac, there's so many different versions now. It makes it great.
Yeah, and there are. I mean, and you get into, let's say, the novice guy that really doesn't know, whether the front or the back, or what are the ramifications of me putting my scope here versus here, or using a side mount or replace my rear sight block, with a rail. They don't understand, well, if I do that, what am I losing, what am I gaining,
Mm-hmm.
or if I put this type scope on there, what kind of reaction am I going to get, from the rifle? Yeah, I think that's more the answers they're looking to get for a lot of these questions that's been sent in.
Well, really, the more educated the shooter is
yes,
in the products and what they're trying to do with it.
Right.
And when I say that, I mean, like, if you're a shooter and it's like, okay, I want to have a scope on my gun. Don't just go do a Google search and say, oh, this has got the best rating ever. Study that thing better and understand how it works, what's the benefit of it. I see people that, put peep sights all the way out here.
Yeah.
That person has never trained with anybody in accuracy, because a peep sight that far away from your eye is actually harder to get than it is. It's supposed to be right here. It's a ghost ring.
Yeah.
So, but that's just a matter of educating yourself on what's really going to work for you the best.
Yeah.
So another commonality. It's funny, Jim builds guitars now, and I started off, before I was into guns, I was a violin maker's apprentice and built guitars and that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a lot of fun, and one of the, actually, the commonality between instrument making and AK building, the overlap is huge. It's really funny. But where I was going is, in the shop that I was in, these were, the violin master that I was apprenticed to sold very expensive, tens of thousands of dollars for one of his violins. So it's like buying a car.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people didn't have that much money. This was like a giant deal. And one thing that he would caution all of them on is that when you pick up a new violin and start playing it, you're going to say, ugh, this is different. And then 20 minutes later, it's going to be, oh, this is different. You have this really fun feeling that, oh, this has a different, it's called bowing space, the sort of way that you bow and the angle and speed at which you draw the bow and how much pressure you use varies from instrument to instrument. It's kind of like trigger press or something, and getting used to a new trigger. And that's exactly what I would caution people on, is that there's this psychological effect where the first few trigger presses or first couple hours you try something new out. You're not going to like it because you're not used to it. And then you're going to like it because it's new. And then you need to go past that point to what you actually think about it. And so giving yourself the time through dry practice, like a lot of stuff, people do not dry practice enough in this country. And, Sonny Pazikas, who's a friend of, I think, all of ours in here, likes to say that 80% of your practice should be dry,
Pretty much, yeah.
And it doesn't take much. Like if you do 10 or 15 minutes a day, you will learn a ton about your firearm. And stuff like mag changes and ergonomics, like where your sling is, you're going to learn most about that, most of what you need to know about a sling before you ever put a round out. And so waiting until you go to a class to try a new piece of kit, that's the wrong answer. And
usually ends up getting taken off.
Yep, or falling off.
Yeah. This episode of the Talking Lead AK Korner Season 2 is brought to you in part by Occam Defense. The guys at Occam love the AK, but didn't love burning their hands, getting cut by their pre-sharpened gun, or the lack of options for accessories. After spending a few years in the lab, they've recently released the ODS 1775, which brings the best of the AR family to the Kalashnikov's reliability. It's still an AK under the hood, AK mags, forged Polish AK parts, but with American aerospace manufacturing practices and ingenuity. Check them out at occamdefense.com or on Instagram at Occam Defense Solutions. So, I think that's all I want to cover on the accessories, because we're going to get into, like I said, a whole other show on the accessory. Unless you guys have anything else that you want to add to that, anything.
Well, one thing I would add.
Yeah.
We all have that box of crap that we bought.
Yes, we do.
And when we bought it, we thought, man, this is really cool. This is going to be badass. And then you put it on and you go, oh.
That didn't work.
Do your
Not
research.
the way I thought it was going to work out. Yeah.
Do your research, or you will have that box. We all fall subject to marketing, But do your research, and that box will be a lot smaller.
Right. And then donate that box to a friend that may be getting into the AK, new, and help them out, encourage them, and share the love, definitely, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build the awareness, the education of the AK rifle, the appreciation of it, the love of it. I mean, but it's just it's a great rifle. It's a reliable gun. It's an accurate gun. Brian has shown how accurate an AK-47 can be.
Well, and Jim did that. Jim and Travis did that a decade before me. But yeah, we do ship accurate guns. But
you do, and they continue as the technology progresses. They continue to get more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was telling you, I'm gonna use mine for hunting. I'm gonna take the AK. I'm gonna take different platforms out. I'm gonna take the Vishka out. I'm gonna take the 1775 out. I'm gonna take I got a couple other models, the Palmetto State Armory. I got one of theirs, and I'm gonna hunt with them. And I'm just
It's a great round for small game, for game animals.
It's more than just a combat rifle.
Yeah.
But it makes a great combat rifle.
One thing I noticed in the South years ago, one of the gun of choice for deer hunting whitetail used to be a lever action 30-30. You know what I see more now is SKS and AKs.
Really?
The 7.62-39 and the 30-30 are very similar ballistic.
Right.
And you throw a 4-round, 5-round mag, whatever in there, and you're legal. And I see it. I spent a lot of time in the South, so I was just amazed at the difference I've seen it change over the years. Last time I was down there during deer season, I couldn't believe how many, particularly SKSs, they seem to like SKSs a lot.
Okay.
We've got Alaska Outdoors, a TV show, and they hunt in Alaska, obviously. They use our AK, and a lot of people when they see them post socially, why are you using an AK to go out and hunt? The gentleman's like, listen, this is what a lot of people carry up here. This is a reliable gun.
We're busting the stigma of the assault rifle.
Yeah.
It's used for a lot more than just, a battle rifle. It's not just a battle rifle. Competition shooters. There's a lot of competitions that are out there now. Red October. And what's the other one? The
Kalashpert.
Kalashpert is the new one
that started, and I think there's another one that's starting to kick off too.
I think there's a few small ones floating around trying to come up, But yeah, but again, that's what happens when you grow your industry. All of a sudden, there's these things now where you can go to and you can compete. Most AK shooters would never do competition because they're competing against guys that have sponsors, $5,000 rifles, and it's like, I don't want to do that. Red October opened a whole new door.
Yeah.
And the Clash Bash followed it, and now it's like a whole other game that people can play.
Right. Yep. And that's just showing the popularity of the rifle and how it's growing. It's being more accepted in America. You and I were talking on one of the first episodes that we did last season about how much hate, went into the AK-47 in your day, in the early days. It was frowned. It was frowned upon.
Oh, yeah.
Just like you said, it's like you mentioned the AK, and you kind of got blackballed from certain groups and things. So, but that's not the case now.
You still find some of that hate there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, no, it's becoming a lot more acceptable these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why we're seeing, the the westernized version of those, where we always want to make something our own. We always want to put our look, our feel to it. And that's the way the AKs are.
Well, the phenomenon you were talking about, I think a lot of it came from, our first exposure really to the AK was Vietnam.
Right.
And in Vietnam, they mostly had Chinese AKs that probably had 300,000 rounds through them. They were smooth bore, they were inaccurate, but they were effective.
Yeah.
And they became very hated because of that. I mean, they were known. That's where most of the stuff comes from, that they're inaccurate, because they were looking at guns that were worn out. Rusted pieces of junk that these Viet Cong had or whatever.
Right.
That's what they had. They worked and they were effective. But then, nowadays it's a lot different. You still have people that have that built in there. But the first thing I noted when I first started in the industry, 90% of my customers were contractors, and the reason was these were veterans that were going over there in 2003, 2004 when contracting got big in Iraq.
Right.
They were going over there and getting issued AKs for the first time and going, and then after they used them, like we were just talking about. They went, I get a phone call at 3 in the morning. Hey, Jim, I hear you make these things. I want one. And keep in mind, these guys were making big bucks back then and had nothing to spend it on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's really, but I think a lot of that has to do, with our modern day, all the time we've spent in the Middle East, and that's a different story altogether, but our experience there has taught people that the AK is a viable fighting rifle.
Yeah.
It's not just some piece of shit that's inaccurate and can't do it. There's still people that are going to think that, but people that have experienced it firsthand, particularly in a war zone, they know a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, and we've had several of those people on the show, that can attest to that. Jeff Kirkham, we had Jeff on. Jeff's had extensive hands-on over there in the sandbox with that rifle and that platform, and I think he's brought some of his ideas back, which helped with some of the westernizing, I guess, of the AK-47.
Oh yeah, our pistol was pretty much fully specified by Jeff. I had not even thought about doing one yet. I showed him the rifle and he's like, great, can you make me a couple pistols? And I said, you're not going to say no to a guy like that. So I said, yep, we can do that. And I've showed him a few prototypes. He's like, yep, you're almost there. And so we're grateful for his insights on that. He's quite the inventor.
Yeah. Yeah. And Travis Haley, he's another one.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So, and that's just naming a couple of guys, that right off the bat. I'm sure there are tons of other ones that have had the hands-on experience over there that have brought it back to America. And, we're seeing it spill over into, the commercial market now.
Yeah, Travis actually is responsible for the way we gas our guns. I had him gassed a little bit lower, had him shoot the gun, and he's like, a little sluggish. And he's shooting like 6 rounds a second or whatever. I'm like, I can't tell. He's like, yeah, can you throw the can on it? And I'm like, sure. So we strap the can on, go to town. He's like, that's perfect. Just gas yourself up a little bit, you'll be fine. I couldn't tell the difference at all. And a bunch of folks, Jim included, have pointed me in the right direction when I started. Well, and John. I've called John nervous several times over the last year or so here, where he's helped me figure out where to pull my head out of. And it's been good. Very
good. So let's do some plugging now. We are at the 2020 SHOT Show at the official headquarters of Buck Knives here. Century Arms. We'll start with Century, presenting sponsors of the Talking Lead AK Korner. What are you guys featuring at SHOT Show this year?
We've got a 74 prototype sitting over in the booth. Now, I'm going to caution that the guys that are sitting here, if you go look at it, you're going to say, what the heck is this Franken gun? So it is a prototype, okay? So don't walk over there.
Thank you for trying to do a 74 and working on that. We need more 74s. So
we are working on that, and I'm not going to put a date to it, but it will be soon.
So educate our new listeners at what the 74 is.
You know what? I'll let the experts do that because they have the history on the 74. So.
Oh, it's my favorite caliber, but it's basically an AKM, but it's in a different caliber. A few changes other than that, but it's in 5.45 by 39, which is a lot closer to our 5.56.
Right.
And it gives you a lot more distance. The 7.62-39 goes transonic at about 550 rounds, so you're kind of limited on that round to that point. But, I've hit man-sized steel out to 750 yards with a 5.45 gun.
Nice.
I mean, the bullet will do it if you do your part. So I'm a big fan of the 74.
Now, is this going to be
the endorsement of these guys? That's all it was.
Is this the full American-made 74?
It will be full American-made, and it will be traditional. Right now, we've got it spec'd out, and like I said, it's a prototype. Right now, we've got it spec'd out with a bayonet lug, and we've got it spec'd out with a cleaning kit, side optics mount on it. These are all things. Really early production, so don't quote me on that, but that's what we've got sitting on there right now. So we've got that. We've got a Visca, and we're screwing it now with a dong attachment to it. We're calling it the Visca dong. So just getting those.
I remember when you couldn't give those damn things away. I must have cut off hundreds of those and turned them into real handguards.
It's funny because I threw away like 4 of them. So
for those of our listeners here who have not heard of dong outside of the context of Pornhub, would you educate these folks as to what a dong is?
It's exactly what you said. No, I'm sorry. Pornhub. You mean we did that wrong? No, it is a not a grip up front because it's not full length, but it's like if you had a Bravo Company attachment on the front of your rifle, just so you get a visual to stop your hand from sliding all the way back when you're shooting it. You get kind of a better grip on the front of the gun with it. And we're bringing that back. It is a classic AK thing, and it looks really cool on our Visca.
Nice.
Yeah, and we've got all the Dracos, and Draco. When I started with the company, I knew what Draco was, but it is actually a cultural phenomenon. There are songs that Draco is in, and it is really something to hear. Every time I hear a song, it's like, oh. Now that I work for the company, I recognize that the Draco is everywhere now as a cultural phenomenon. So
the chopper,
free publicity.
Yeah. So we're doing some fun things, and like you guys have said before, we come in at a reasonable price point, so every man can get into it. And one day we hope that everybody really appreciates that about us. So,
I think they are. I think they are. John, what about you?
We're working hard on actually one of our versions of our rifle. We actually make 2 that are very more popular than others. We have our Mini Monster, which is a 7.25-inch long gun, very similar to the Draco.
Okay.
A little more decked out. It has its own handguard and optic rail from SaberWorks. it could be done in either a pistol or a rifle. It would be, if it's a rifle, it is going to be an SBR, so be forewarned.
Okay.
Which is short-barreled rifle, NFA item. We do a lot of those in pistol form, so that then customer could then Form 1 it and then convert it to just simply add on their particular stock they like, and they can have their rifle. We also do our OSC 13, which is a little bit more exotic. It's the over the $2,000 range rifle. It is made for a suppressor, optics, and it's definitely not a starter rifle. It is when you're more getting into, hey, I really like things. I want to, have a red dot. I want to have a
intermediate user. Yeah.
Yeah, intermediate to this is my my Ferrari gun. So we do a lot of those because it's it's suppressors. I mean, everyone's really big into suppressors right now. So it allows you to bolt your suppressor on and go shoot. It also, you could shoot it non-suppressed. A lot of guys who are using them in competition. Like Jim was saying, all these new AK events are great because everyone's learning, hey, we're all friends here, and hey, let me shoot your gun, let me shoot that gun, and it's more friendly, and that's what we want. We want people to enjoy this platform. Otherwise, all of us guys are way out of a job quick. And we, so that we do a lot of those. We do some protection rifles also, try to keep the price down, that are just over $1,000. But we're just same thing. We're just trying to make the gun more end user friendly. Trying to make the customer enjoy the experience of this new rifle they may be getting into, or have shot several times and just want to make it more theirs.
Right.
Like I always say, when you buy your new car, what does everyone go out to do? I want some rims. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's the same thing. You got your new gun. Now you want to deck it out and make it yours.
Right.
So we just try to help you along with that. There's certain things that the average person, no problem, they can throw on themselves. There's some stuff that it's getting a little more exotic. Like if you want to put on Brian's handguard, you kind of need to have either a mechanical background. It
Sure.
isn't impossible, but you kind of got to know a little bit more than the average what we call a person getting into a gun has no idea about anything mechanical. Right. You don't want to be messing with that. So we help people out with that. If they're just getting started, it's a little beyond their wheelhouse. No problem. Send it down. We'll take care of it for you. Get it kicked back, and that way you can go and enjoy the gun again.
Now, are you offering classes? Do you do
no, I didn't.
Educational classes or anything?
No, we don't do classes. I never want to get into
That's
that.
Okay.
That's
not a problem.
Seems to be a little bit. I don't know how Jim used to do it. That having that many people ask you strange questions and you
just not your cup of tea. Yeah. And the name of your company again is M13 Industries.
M13 Industries.
Okay, and they can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook, interweb, everything.
Okay, very good. Brian.
So we've got the 1775 rifle that we've been shipping for 4 or 5 months now. We have a pistol that is a 10.5-inch barrel crank length gas system that's 7.62 by 39. We also do 5.45 versions of that rifle if you've got a parts kit, which is the magic. That's the magic ingredient there.
Yeah.
We have a new 1913 trunnion. We were welding them up, and now we're machining them ourselves in-house. We also are doing our own iron sights now that are compatible with the Merc. We stopped being able to get the previous iron sights. They were not being imported anymore. Those are dropping in about 3 weeks. We're still accepting pre-orders on them. So that if you want to be first in line, we still got some out of the first batch of 100 available. We've got Lee Armory just debuted a new 7.62 Grendel 18-inch kind of DMR rifle featuring our rail. Rifle Dynamics just dropped I think they're calling it the Night Fighter, a night vision setup, sort of optimized rifle using our rail. And that's kind of I think we're up to date there. Oh, we just launched OccamLube.com.
That's cool shit.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, Jim was an early supporter of that one, for sure. We have a little lubrication product. We just spun it up as a separate company because it was too much of a distraction from gun building, and so we brought in Buell Collins, who's a friend of, I think, damn near everybody in this room.
Good old Buell, yeah.
Buell
I think I saw him over here recently. He just
Yeah,
walked
he's
by.
over here.
Yeah.
He's like around.
So that's the other big news is that Occam Lube Inc. is spinning up here, and we'll be able to service. Lots of people have been grumpy for good reason that we haven't been able to get them product, and that's going to change soon. So we've got some exciting new updates for the design there that make it easier to use.
Occam Defense
.com. Yep, and Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing.
All over the place.
Yep.
That's right. Jim. So I know there's some stuff you can't talk about right now. So
Yeah, no.
so we got news from Jim coming soon. But what can you talk about?
Well, I was with RD for many years. I founded the company, started it up, but I just, I sold the company 3 years ago, and after a while, you just kind of need to do something different.
Yeah.
And so an offer came along that I'm really excited about, and we'll know more about it in a couple of months.
Gotcha.
Right now, I'm just running my podcast, Guns, Guitars, and Freedom, and actually enjoying.
I like that.
Yeah,
Guns, Guitars, and Freedom.
Yeah, we've
baby.
got 5 podcasts out now, and they're doing quite well. We've got a lot of really impressive people lined up for these things. The benefit of being around as long as I have, I've met a lot of pretty cool people in this industry, and they all want to come on now and talk about stuff. So
very cool.
So yeah, that's I'm doing that now, and I'm also consulting with different things. But eventually, in a couple more months, we're going to be letting everybody know what's going on. Right now, I just kind of got to sit on it.
Very cool. I understand. Now you're gonna have some jam sessions on there on this podcast that you're doing.
Yeah, we generally do. I mean, it's I was a fairly good guitar player when I was young, but I'm old now, and I got 45 years of industrial workforce on my hands. And
I've heard you play. You still can strum it out, brother.
Well, not like some guys, but I still enjoy it, and it's always going to be a part of what I do. I mean, when I became a father and family man, I kind of put all that stuff aside, and now that my kids are grown and gone, and I kind of got a little time on my hands, like why not? So
got a little me time now.
Yeah, I got a little me time now, and
hell yeah.
I set up like a lot of this electronic shit you got. I got it home now for home recording and stuff, so it's kind of cool. It amazes me how much. I mean, back in the day in the 80s, if I wanted to record something, I'd go into a recording studio where they had this big 2-inch tape machine,
right?
Big long console of all this stuff. It cost you $400 or $500 an hour to be in there. Now you can do all that with a laptop.
Right, with a cell phone now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's unreal. So it's kind of nice. I can sit in my bedroom and do this stuff at home. It's like, oh God, if I'd have had this back then, I'd be a dead rock star by now.
Well, very good, guys. So. Thank you so much for making this special AK Korner happen. I know the listeners are going to love this. And I think somebody just got murdered at SHOT Show. So we're at Buck Knives, and they're giving away some cool shit, I guess, over there. Somebody just won a cool knife or something. But make sure that you go and support all the people that have been on the show today. Jim Fuller, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
Check out his podcast again one more time.
Guns, Guitars, and Freedom. You'll see it on YouTube, and we have a Facebook page as well, and
cool.
Instagram.
Brian, always, brother, thank you so much. OccamDefense.com, sponsors of the Talking Lead AK Korner.
Real pleasure and honor to be on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Ken,
CenturyArms.com. Come see us, guys.
Presenting sponsors of the Talking Lead AK Korner. Yeah. And John?
I'm John from M13.com.
There you go, guys. Until the next episode of the Talking Lead AK Korner, we'll talk to you then. And send us questions, talkinglead@gmail.com.